Done. Go ahead.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Auto Hub Show. Where are we on right now?
We're actually on YouTube, and we're on LinkedIn, and we're in Las Vegas, Nevada, at what's it,
Driving Sales Executive Summit, because I always get this confused because in a couple of days there's another D something or other. So we have two new guests. We have one old guest and one very nice guest. Today we're doing our quasi-ambush interview. If you could be so kind to introduce yourself and your connection to our show or to here.
So I'm Kathy Gilbert. I am the Senior Director of our Minority Dealer Women Retail and our OEM and partners for CDK Global, but I am also one of the founding board members of Women in Automotive. So thank you for having me.
I'm impressed that you could remember all of those things. And of course, next to her, we have our good friend,
Larry Feldman, president of Career Changers USA, and proud to be standing in between Kathy and Jeff.
Well, you should be, because we're pretty cool, you know. So, what's your take so far? I mean, the big thing here in the show right now, the big, Women in Auto is sort of almost its own show within a show, isn't it?
That is correct. And so I'll tell you, we were very happy to partner with Driving Sales at this event. Now, we have our big event coming in June, and you'll hear more about that. But at this event, we did what we call our Women in Automotive Social. And the social part was we had a great reception last night hosted by TrueCar. But the part that was really cool about that is that we had so many guests. They had a chance to network. They had a chance to find out more about women in automotive. And then this morning, we did a morning session where it was our mentoring. We had our mentoring panel, and it was hosted by Stella AI. But the cool thing, and again, there's a lot of cool things about this show, needless to say, but the cool thing was the women that came to join us and the ones that were new. This was their first show or the first time that they had a chance to be out and to really get a chance to network and see other leaders in the space. I mean, it was awesome. And so, yes, it's been exciting. It was a great way to start the morning. Now, I will say that I do need a nap, but I won't tell everybody about that. And you hang out all night and you get up early morning, but it was a lot of fun and we had a great event.
Well, they do have a saying, though, when they have the saying of what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, naps probably have to stay there too, Ian.
Yeah, I mean, I had the pleasure of being at the event this morning. I'm an early bird, as probably everybody knows. But it was very, very insightful, not only because, there were a lot of talented women in the room, but also just it was a very well put together event. But more importantly, from a point of view of networking and mentoring and those kind of things. I mean, I've had the privilege of mentoring some people in my life. I think mentoring isn't talked about enough in automotive, but especially mentoring for women, not to exclude the men by any stretch, but maybe you can talk a little bit about that program and sort of, how people can get involved in those.
Can I mention one thing before Kathy illuminates and elucidates? What's really insane is all car people should know, and probably do know, that women influence 80% of the buying decisions. They buy over 50% of the cars, and how crazy women view the situation when they come in and it's all guys or mostly guys. Women listen better. They build rapport better than men. So technically speaking, they are better at sales because they listen better. And if you don't listen, it doesn't matter what you say. Would you concur?
I would concur 100%. And thank you for sharing that. When you think about mentoring, right, we talk a lot about how do you get the right mentor. And so many times women come into the automotive industry and they don't find someone that either looks like them or someone that's in their local area, and they get disheartened and they wind up leaving the industry. So the importance of mentoring, and we've been supporting mentoring for over 8 years now as part of Women in Automotive. The benefit is there are leaders here. There are women here that have gone through a lot of the things that our young ladies are going through, and having that opportunity to talk to someone, to share those ideas, to just hear someone that says, hey, you know what, I understand what you're going through. And so Women in Automotive is a big proponent of our mentoring program. We are always looking for mentors. We're always looking for mentees. And this year we've added the ability to sponsor. So we have a lot of our OEM partners that are actually looking at sponsoring women in their organization. So it's a great thing. And I'm a big
Kathy,
proponent of
I can help. Okay.
Yes.
I can be, I never understood women that were jealous of other women and pushed them away. So I can be a mentor. He can be a mentee, and I believe in your bag, Jeff, you have some Mentos. So we've conjugated the verb in every possible way.
So
I knew we'd shut him up with that one.
there
girl.
we go. So I want to ask you a question that could be taken wrong,
Okay.
but why do we not see more women in auto in variable, well, in fixed, in the front end fixed and variable ops?
Mhm.
Is it because of us, meaning the industry,
Mhm.
or is it because of the people looking, the ladies looking?
So I would tell you it's probably a combination of both. You have a lot of men in the industry that don't necessarily recognize the value that women bring. And they're starting to see that. And some of that is becoming more obvious because men are looking at their daughters and they're looking at their wives and they're wanting a better opportunity for them. But it's also women. When I come into a store, I want to see somebody that looks like me. I want to know that somebody understands my perspective. And it's good that you have women in the business. And what I love most is when you have someone that understands that women bring a different perspective and there's a value in that. And so as we start talking about, diversity of thought, having women are going to look at things a little bit differently. They're going to bring a different perspective. And it's important to recognize that. And so I don't think we've done that traditionally in automotive. I've been around for a long time. And I'm starting to see change, and change is happening because dealers are starting to look at wanting to have what's best for the women that are coming after them and the ones that are close in their circle.
Don't look at me, girl. The
Anyway.
best service
Lady.
writer we had,
Ma'am,
woman,
yes,
ma'am,
yes,
Ms. Gilbert.
yes,
But-
all of those.
But the
were.
best service advisor we had was a woman.
Yes.
Again, women do not want to go into any situation and be uncomfortable or be talked down to.
That's true.
I'm a trainer,
Yes.
and
okay.
when I do either newbies or if I get people that need to be refired,
Right.
I send them out to mystery shop and to say they're looking for a car for their sister that just had a baby. I don't have to tell you all over the country and in Canada. It's like, well, tell her to come back. What's her credit like? But what's really scary is sometimes they take, just for fun, their boyfriend, their husband, and the salesperson continues to talk to the husband or boyfriend even after the husband or boyfriend, in fear for their lives, go, no, she's the buyer.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll tell you, women do that. Even though they're the one that's buying the vehicle, they're the one that has all the credit, they bring someone else because our industry still has to do better in that regard.
Yep.
If I'm the buyer, give me the respect, because women will leave a dealership and not come back simply because you didn't give me that respect. So you're absolutely
Instantaneous. The turnoff is instantaneous.
Absolutely. And I mean, it shows with your eyes, the way you're talking. I ask a question and then they still look at the man to answer. We have to get better. And I think we're doing it. Now, granted, I would like us to do it a lot faster, but it is happening.
So what's your opinion on how to change things quicker now that you brought that up? I mean, I know part of the issue we've seen, not only in Toronto when I was the Women in Automotive breakout, but also here, just the lack of men who seem to be wanting to attend these events. Is that something that you think could be changed? And if so, how?
So I would always say most of the events are kind of billed as women in automotive events. But the way I say it is women in automotive, and it's men who love women. So if you raise your hand and say, yes, I love women, whether that is my daughter, my wife, my mother, my sister, my neighbor down the street, the young ladies that work in my store, if you love women, now is the time for you to represent and do more forward.
Kathy, I love women.
See, that's what I'm saying.
I have to tell you,
Yes.
I know a lot of men. The issue they have is men have trouble supervising women. And
Okay.
and I know firsthand. I would hire a woman
Mhm.
and to overlook almost everything just to hire, to say, because I've the best salespeople, no BS, not trying to be like Larry, best salespeople I ever had were women.
Right.
And my wife who does our videos and stuff here, she was in life insurance for a long time, and she had no problem looking somebody in the eye and putting her hand on the table and saying, do you want to buy or not?
Mhm.
And they'd go, okay. If I did that, there'd be hell, right?
Right.
But the fact is that I always had trouble
Mhm.
having to do corrective measures.
Mhm.
And, I'd always believe myself to be a student of current proper processes of everybody. You can't sit a guy down anymore and say, listen, you blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Could never do that as a guy with a lady, although they'd probably much more respect you.
Right.
But I know a lot of men have a problem by saying you need to do. Here's your this. Here's the coaching. Um, what because you just talked about men
Mhm,
loving women in automotive.
mhm.
So, what advice can you give men to be more comfortable with having women? Because I don't believe, as a man,
Mhm.
that men in general push women out.
Okay.
And in general, there's a lot of guys that should be kicked out.
Right.
But I, anybody I know, maybe I live in this really great group of world, just want people doing business.
Mhm.
But what can you tell men to stop being to change in general?
So I would tell anyone, be consistent in your process and how you rate performance. Talk to people the way you want to be spoken to. And so if this is the expectation for the role, then provide the expectation and make that expectation consistent. It shouldn't be different rules for me than it is for a man on your team. Once you drive that consistency and I see and women see that, hey, I'm being evaluated based on my performance the same way you evaluate everyone else, I think that's when it starts to change.
Kathy, can we build on your earlier statement?
Oh, absolutely.
Why don't we just instruct men when they're interviewing and dealing with women to treat them the way they'd want another man to treat their wife or daughter or sister?
100%.
But doesn't that just go away with what you just said? Because we should be treating everybody the same way.
Right.
Yeah, but burying your head in the sand and acting like everything is equal when it isn't equal doesn't get you anywhere. You have to acknowledge a problem before you can fix it.
But if you're treating everybody consistently and with the same respect that you want to be given, then it's easy. So the way that you treat your daughter, the way you treat your wife, the way you treat your neighbor down the street, we've gotten to a place in the world where I think we all need to be a little kinder.
No question.
And don't assume that I mean something different than what the words are. Most of us do need to be more sensitive, and that's important. And I think we all learn that. But don't go in thinking that I'm different and you have to speak to me different. Come in thinking that I'm
More
an
sensitive,
employee.
but not overly sensitive.
But and the reason I said that is I got friends with sons. I got daughters,
Okay.
so I can't talk about this.
Right.
I have friends with sons, and I've seen them, and one of them's really old, like 30. And I've seen them say, they talked to you what? Like wasn't a boss or and literally having to be held back from going after somebody for talking poorly to their son.
Mhm.
So I agree with you. We gotta park some of the stuff in this business. I mean, the days of the hey pals, we just mentioned that earlier with our friends from Fuse, has got to go to everybody, customers and everything else. But even when we're talking to people, because my honest opinion, men are way more fragile egos than women. And I've seen guys almost cry because you were a little too hard on them.
Right.
Well, on your next segment, you said you're going to have the peacock in here, right? With the feathers and the
Yeah,
plumage and all that
exactly.
stuff.
Sure, no
We
problem.
have a couple comments and an ongoing debate here through LinkedIn. First, Patrick Tinney says, if mama ain't happy, no one's going to be happy. Get your bleep together.
And Patrick is our new HR guy, so this will be perfect.
And then if you are selling cars to a mom who's waiting, you are not selling cars, you are selling safety. And then we have a
That's
lady,
true.
Coralie Zup said, Kathy Gilbert is fabulous, bravo.
Thank you.
And then she's commenting on Patrick. She said, why the heck are you calling her your mama?
Oh my God.
So now there's a long.
I want to thank all the people that commented. It's a pleasure to not be the controversial one for a change.
I have to tell you, Patrick, I'm just going to say that
They got me out of the line of fire,
I
Kathy.
just said, Coralie, I was just thinking about my ex-wife.
And then Coralie says, in my experience, the service men know just as little about repairs as women. I preach just explain repair and maintenance in a way people will understand. 100% Kathy Gilbert, talk to people the same. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I have to tell you something. You guys, thank you so much for the comments. They're amazing. I wish we could show them to everybody here, but Patrick, maybe we can get on it. Should I mention our disclaimer?
Sure.
At the Auto Hub Show, the opinions shared here are those of our guests and our people watching online, and not necessarily of us. But thanks, Pat.
And now we have a comment from Patrick's mama. This is really going to get ugly.
I think the fact what I'm taking here though is the industry itself has to change, and the industry is made up of people, and we can yeah, it's a bit of a cliche,
Mhm.
but it's very true. Like I'm sitting here today, I've never seen a conference with such a, I'm not going to say we're equal on the amount of attendees,
Right.
but wow, there's a lot of ladies here.
Oh, yeah.
And
And how about a lot of strong, smart ladies?
well, they're all strong and smart, man. There's no dummies.
Absolutely.
There's a bunch of dummy men here, and they're the ones that are buying. No, I'm just kidding. Because you're not here with an official capacity with your company, so they don't have to buy nothing. But no, see, there's a minimum. What do we have in here for booths, Ian? 10, 12 vendor booths, which includes a couple of media people and our good friends, Fred and Lou. And, you know, but it's still mostly ladies. That means there's attendees here. That's a big deal.
One of the things that I really like is Women in Automotive. We did our social ahead. So we invited the sponsors to come out and join us. We invited the attendees to come and join us. But I would say this, I mean, I am a proud CDK employee. And the reason for that is because CDK continues to invest in our minority community, our women community, and they are a big proponent of women in automotive. How do we drive and advocate for more women? And so I tell you, you know, I don't necessarily say there's a major difference in men and women. It is we think about things differently. I mean, we come with different perspectives, and it's all about getting together and understanding how you think about an issue, because there are things that we agree on. There are things that we don't agree on, but taking the time to listen, taking the time to authentically want to understand and learn, that's how we get better. That's how we grow.
Yeah, no question.
Good
there.
advice for anything. Take the time to listen.
But you as a trainer have been training people for decades. Salespeople, the service advisors, ask questions, then shut up. Listen. Ian.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you bring that up with listening. And I know salespeople in general, I'm not trying to say gender is a factor here, it may or may not be. Salespeople sometimes just have one gift, and that is talk a lot and hope that if I talk more, maybe, we'll get the results.
It's the oldest cliche around.
Yeah.
2 ears and one mouth. You need to use them proportionately, because nothing is uglier than when somebody is not listening. Yeah, I want a yellow one. Well, here's the blue one. When we don't pay attention, nobody likes to feel like they're not important and they're not being listened to.
I'll tell you one thing too. Women come in because they've done their homework. So women aren't going to come in and just kind of kick the tires. They know, they've gone online, they've done their research, they've talked to friends. And so when they come in, they know what they're looking for. And if you listen and really understand, or just give them a minute, they'll tell you. Now it's a matter of helping them to make the right decision. But don't assume that they're coming in and they're clueless and they haven't done their homework, because I'll tell you, women do. They do research and they write reviews. So it's important that you give them that respect, because they will then show it back, whether it's in reviews or in influence other decision makers, whether it's the husbands, whether it's the sisters, the friends, the family. Women influence the decision makers, and that's key.
And I am obviously not a woman. I mean, after Bruce Jenner, it's a little hard to tell, but I do have a wife and a mother and a sister. And let me tell you something. The one thing women hate the most is when somebody's not listening to them. That drives them the craziest. Any argument? You're with me.
Listening is important, yes.
And thanks very much. I really appreciate everyone's thoughts. And of course, if you want to get involved in Women in Automotive, or website you want to talk about?
So I just say reach out. So www.womeninautomotive.com. Or you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, Kathy Gilbert, and I'd love to answer any questions that you have.
That's Kathy with a K, right?
Kathy with the K.
Okay, and we're listening to you. Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you
with
very
us.
much for having me.
And I want my CDK lip gloss. Just kidding.
Okay, yeah, we got it.
Thank
All right,
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.
Thanks for joining us. It was a great show, and follow us anywhere you would like on your favorite podcast, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and of course on our YouTube, or subscribe to our own channel.
That was good.